everybody, welcome back to Vegas Weekly for a Saturday, August 29th, 2020. We've got a big show for you again today, but not quite as big as it has been. So let's jump right into the housekeeping notes. I want to thank everybody that joined us on our technical difficulties live stream Wednesday night, and true to the name, we had some technical difficulties, but I really appreciate those of you who hung out. We had a good time talking about Vegas and all kinds of things. We had a special guest who always makes an impression of sorts. Gave away some gift cards, so it was good fun. We'll do that again at the end of September, so be sure to set your calendar. Once I tell you when it is, I haven't really told you that yet. But I did have a couple of announcements that I made during the live stream that I'm going to go ahead and reiterate today. The reason I said the show's a little shorter is I've decided we're going to go back, and for those of you who've been subscribing to the channel for several years, we traditionally always had a Saturday video and a Wednesday video. Well, the Wednesday video is coming back, and due to the positive feedback, the Wednesday video is going to be our This Week in Vegas History video. We're going to spin off that segment from the Saturday show, and it's going to get its own place on Wednesdays. Now, we will continue once a month to do a Vegas History special. That'll also be on Wednesday, and that'll be as part of that This Week in Vegas History show. I keep looking at the times on these broadcasts, and it's like pushing 25, 30 minutes. And to me, that's a little long. If I see a YouTube video pop up and it's 25, 30 minutes long, I'm liable to go, maybe I'll watch that later. So hopefully this will get the Vegas Weekly program down to around the 20-minute mark, which I think is much more reasonable. You have a cup of coffee and a donut, or a cup of coffee and a vodka, and you're done. So, secondly, I mentioned it in the show notes last week, if anybody caught it, but I don't think anybody did. I also mentioned that we are going to be revamping the whole Vegas Tips and Tricks merchandising scheme. And initially, that's going to mean that the current store is going to go away. So if you're interested in our collector's edition Vegas Tips and Tricks mug, you're going to want to click through and pick one of those up very soon, because they will not be available, at least for a couple of months, until we sort of revamp that. I'm going to try to integrate the store into the Vegas Tips Tricks website, and I think that'll be a much more seamless and interesting way to do it. Okay, so I've been doing a weekly YouTube channel shout out. This week I'm going to shout out, and let me explain, I mean, there's a lot of channels out there, a lot of great Vegas content. But what I'm really looking for are channels that are starting out, maybe just have a few hundred subscribers or less, and that I think are worth your time if you're not already subscribed to them. Today we're going to talk about Matt Wilson. And Matt hasn't been to Las Vegas in a while, but Matt was vlogging his trips to Las Vegas as a teenager. And I'll put a link to his channel in the show notes below. You can check out some of the old VHS footage that he took way back in the 90s. And coincidentally, not really, I actually planned that, believe it or not. Coincidentally, Matt is headed back to Vegas this week. And so in addition to the old school footage, he'll be able to bring you some new Vegas content very shortly. So check out Matt's channel. He seems like a great guy and really has a great love of Las Vegas, its history, and we'll be very excited to see what he brings us in his upcoming vlog. So the news this week in Las Vegas, we're going to start out with some positive news. You know, back in June when the casinos were able to reopen, I think maybe the big surprise was, why didn't the Mirage open? You know, we throw around the word iconic a bit too often when we talk about properties in Las Vegas, but I'd say, you know, Flamingo, Caesars, Bellagio, Mirage, as far as strip properties, those are truly iconic. And so, again, I was surprised. I think a lot of people were surprised that it did not reopen back in June. But thankfully, just this past Thursday, just 2 days ago, it was back in business. 10 a.m., August 27th. There you go. The Mirage is back open again. And the Mirage, you know, still a quality property. Has a lot of very loyal fans, patrons. So it's good to see that property back and in business. That was some good news from MGM. But yesterday, some not so good news from MGM. 18,000 of its workers that had been furloughed, which means they weren't working anyway, were formally laid off. There's a lot of people still in Las Vegas who are struggling as a result of this. You go to the, our reaction is we go to the casino, there's not as many cocktail waitresses, there's not as many bars or restaurants open, the service isn't the way it used to be. We're a little irked by that maybe, but keep in mind the flip side of that, and that is a lot of people who were doing those jobs simply don't have them. And, the demand has not been there. Visitor traffic in July was a little bit better versus the prior year than June, but that's probably just because there were a couple of more days that the casinos were open and a few more casinos were open. It's just not good for the city when you have so many people still unemployed. And speaking of unemployed resources, let's have a casino update. And again, the news there is not particularly good. We've been talking about the fact that Tropicana and Oyo were scheduled to do a September 1 opening, both of them. That has now been pushed back in each instance. The information that I was able to find, Oyo is now planning to open on September 16th, and Tropicana planning to open on September 17th. Just a few weeks ago, I had what I thought was some positive confirmation of Main Street Station reopening on September 1. I cannot find that information anywhere on their website now, so that may very well have changed. When I looked at the rate calendar for the rooms, the first date that was available at Main Street Station was October 1st, so we'll call that a working date. As far as the remainder of the Strip properties, no word on Park MGM Nomad or Planet Hollywood. Cromwell is currently hosting the reality show Love Island, and after they move out and all the bedding is burned, the place is fumigated, it may reopen. Again, a lot of speculation that Cromwell and Planet Hollywood are both very, very much available if there was a buyer out looking for a property. So stay tuned to that. And of course, the Rio continues to remain shuttered just off the Strip as well. So, as I say, kind of a mixed bag this week. We are continuing to see generally positive indications as far as the COVID-19 virus in Southern Nevada. The little bell curve that went way, way up after the opening is slowly making its way down. You have little bumps along the way. But as far as new cases, as far as hospitalizations, deaths, ICU usage, those things are coming down. That's some very good news to close out our news segment. And the best news anyone can have about Las Vegas is an upcoming trip. And we're planning to be there. I say planning. It's been that kind of year. 49 days from today is the big Rocktober meetup. There's a lot of people planning to be there, so we may need to rent out Allegiant Stadium so we can keep proper social distancing. But the Rocktober event scheduled for October 17th is coming up pretty soon. It's only 7 weeks away. And nobody is more excited than our fabulous mixologist, PJ. And he is counting down to Rocktober with his shot down to Rocktober. So here's this week's shot with PJ.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rocktober. It's going to be a fantastic time in Las Vegas. Now here's PJ with this week's shot.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. John, my buddy. Hey, I really appreciate you doing that shot with me last week, and we're going to do another one this week, right after we spin the wheel for Shot Down Shot. So, ladies and gentlemen, did you guys get last week's voice? How about this week's voice? Put your comments down below, your answer down below in the comments section of Vegas Weekly, and I'll be going through those, and we're going to draw one lucky winner Out of all the names, there's going to be 8 different names. This is the second one. So I can tell you that both of these women have their own YouTube channel. And there's more to come. All right, hey, let's get into shot number 2 this week. And let's break it down to the shot spinner below and see what we have. Here we go. This week, looks like right here, we're going to do Great Head, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be doing Great Head. Hopefully you can read that okay. Great Head has 3/4 ounce whiskey, 1/2 ounce of melon liqueur. Let's get right to it. Put that right there. That is the Great Head. We'll be right back, and we'll be putting those ingredients in my shaker and then putting that shot in my belly. Hang tight. We'll get this figured out. All right, first thing we're going to do is 3/4 ounce of Jack Daniels, is my whiskey of choice. Alrighty, then a 1/2 ounce of melon liqueur. Pop that in there. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to add a little more Jack. Let's do a little more. There we go. A little more Jack Daniels. Alright. Put the lid on. Make some room. Yeah. Let's start shaking. A couple ice cubes in here to get this nice and chilled. No, I'm not saying you need to chill the shots, but since I'm doing the drinking, I'm chilling mine. The more interesting thing is going to be what kind of color is going to come out of this. Let's take it down below and see exactly what we have. I believe there's going to be enough for a chaser. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go with the Great Head shots. Show you guys up close and personal. Cheers, everybody. Oh, that is delicious, ladies and gentlemen. That is delicious, and I am telling you what, shake it up. Chill it. Get it nice and cold. You've had melon ball shooters before. I'm sure a lot of you have. And if you haven't, this doesn't taste like one. You can taste the Jack Daniels and just a little hint of that melon liqueur. We got a little bit left. Let's can't go to waste. I don't have anybody to share it with. Ooh. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, everybody. Man, that is... John! I'm sorry, where are my manners? Cheers to you, sir. I should have got you on the first one. Here we go. God, that tastes so good. You're going to see this shot at Rocktober, and I think everybody at the party is going to enjoy this. John, did you make one of these? Melon Ball and Jack Daniels, or whatever your favorite whiskey is? Ladies and gentlemen, as always, please give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. I need to see some guesses, ladies and gentlemen. You know it's female. They're all female voices. They're all guest voices. They all have YouTube channels. Figure it out. Write a comment. And if you haven't already subscribed to Vegas Tips and Tricks, hit the subscribe button. Let's get that guy to 2,000. We can do it. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. With that, all I can say now is, please, everybody, drink responsibly. And thanks for watching another episode of Vegas Weekly. In my segment, Cocktail of the Week, or as we're calling it, Shot Down Countdown. I don't know. John, back to you, man. I'm having a great time. I sure hope you are too. Peace, everybody.
So, viva Las Vegas. Thank you very much. The wonder of you, the wonder of PJ. Thanks so much to Paul, that's his real name, it's one of his names, for his continuing support of and contribution to this channel. If you'd like to give PJ a week off, just drop me a line at the email address below, jrswift@vegastipstricks.com. Subject line, give PJ a week off, and maybe you can be a guest mixologist. We do have a couple of guest mixologists coming up sometime. May not be till after Rocktober because we have the whole Shot-tober countdown going right now, but definitely always a fun segment. The title of today's show is The Suite Life, and we're going to be talking about Vegas hotels in our Vegas Tips and Tricks segment over the next several weeks. One thing that I wanted to touch on today was Vegas suites. And a Vegas hotel suite frequently isn't. So that's the first misconception about Las Vegas suites. You're thinking about a fabulous hotel room and you think, I'm going to get a suite. I got to blame it all on the Rio. Because back when they opened up, they said, all of our rooms are suites. Well, technically no. Because a suite is more than one room. It's a separate living and bedroom area, and maybe even like a second bathroom or a kitchenette or something like that. And the Rio was just one really big room. Still is. They haven't changed very much. There was a nice sort of seating living area, which was great. They were huge rooms for the time, 500, 600 square feet, which was unheard of. Now, when the Venetian came along a few years later, they called all their rooms suites as well, but they really weren't suites either. They were just also really big, really nice rooms. They had a little step-down area that divided it, and that you see a lot of that in the so-called Vegas suites. So if you're booking a suite in Las Vegas, make sure you actually check on the room description, the room layout. Make sure it's actually a suite. And if you're interested in a suite, there's some good ones. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But the second misconception I think a lot of people have about a suite is, hey, let's get like a room with like 2-3 bedrooms and we'll save a ton of money. No, you probably won't. Now, there are 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, I think there's even 4-bedroom suites available. Most of those are outside the main casino properties. Find those in a lot of the timeshare properties. You can find 2-bedroom suites in most of the Las Vegas hotels, but they're very expensive. You're not going to save a ton of money. If you just get a regular suite, there's one bed. Now, maybe the couch folds off, but if anybody slept on one of those roll-away couch things, they're horrible. So I guess if you have a friend along who gets so drunk every night they pretty much just pass out on the floor, that'll be good enough. If you really want to, create kind of a suite for a much better deal, consider getting an adjoining room. You know that little door that you assumed was a portal to another universe? It's really just a door to the next room, and most properties have this. So if you want to have, 2 people sharing a living space of sorts, get the 2 adjoining rooms, show up at the registration at the same time. Normally you can be accommodated. And you can just open the doors, walk back and forth between the 2 rooms. It's kind of like a suite, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. That being said, if you're interested in some suites in Las Vegas and don't want to pay a ton, first off, I hate to say this, but avoid the Caesars properties. they so totally overvalue what they call suites. And outside, now there's some nice ones at Paris. Planet Hollywood has some good ones as well. Cromwell has some really cool suites if they ever reopen. And of course, some of the upper end suites at Caesars are great, but the prices are ridiculous. You know, compared to what you're getting, it's not worth it, is what I would say. And again, a lot of them aren't really what I would call suites, or even if they are suites, they're still relatively small. But if you're looking for a true suite on the Las Vegas Strip, I'll give you a couple of suggestions, and most of them are related to the M-Life, MGM properties, which I think a lot of their hotels have more suites, and so they tend to cut you a little bit better deal. Mirage sometimes will have pretty good values on their 1-bedroom and even 2-bedroom suites, so that's worth checking out. Vdara and MGM Signature, both non-gaming properties, both got to take a little bit of a hike to the casino if you want to check it out, but both offer very good value suites. So definitely worth checking out if you want, kitchen facilities or just a little bit more room to spread out. In addition, one property that I always recommend people take a look at if they're looking for a suite is the Luxor. Now, I'm not particularly thrilled with the Pyramid, but the Tower suites, the 1-bedroom and even the 2-bedroom at times, the 1-bedroom is a very, very good value. So definitely worth checking out. This is like 1,000 square feet. It is a very nice, recently remodeled room, and something worth considering if you want something a little nicer and have a little bit more room to spread out. Mandalay Bay also often will have some very good suite deals, and they have a pretty good assortment. And their neighboring property, the Delano, those are essentially all suites with a separate living and bedroom area, and sometimes also a very good value. If you're planning on staying downtown, there's a lot of these faux suites, some of which are nice. I mean, the Cabana suites I really enjoy, but they're not really suites. The sort of standard suite at the Golden Gate is a great value and a really nice room. It's not really a suite. I'd say if you're going to stay downtown, consider the D suite. It's sometimes a pretty good value, particularly during the week. It gets a little overpriced sometimes on the weekend, but a true suite, separate living and sleeping areas. The living area has like 3 TVs on the wall. You've got a wet bar, great place for entertaining, really comfortable, really nice place. So think about that. So we'll continue to talk over the next several weeks about some tips about Vegas hotels, where you should stay and why. But this week we just wanted to talk a little bit about getting a suite. And so hopefully that was helpful to some of you who maybe needed just a little more room to spread out. Well, the show went a little bit long today, but at least we're going to keep it under 25 minutes. PJ was enjoying that second shot just a little too much, and maybe I was enjoying the sound of my voice just a little too much. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. If you did, as PJ says, please hit that thumbs up to like this video. Leave us a comment below. Do you know who the female was in this week's shot down? I do. I figured it out right away. Hopefully you will as well. And if you have any other comments, please leave them below. And of course, we always appreciate if you subscribe. Until next time, and that'll be Wednesday with our this week, the premiere of the standalone This Week in Vegas History show. And next Saturday, we will be back with another episode of Vegas Weekly. Until then, I hope that you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We will see you soon.